The idea came from a conversation I had with two friends, a physicist and a computer scientist. And what I was thinking of was the interview Chris Packham did with the Radio Times in 2009, where he said pandas had gone down an evolutionary cul-de-sac and that we should just pull the plug on them, that they should be left to die out in relative dignity. Now, the thing about this is, this opinion is not supported by any studies at all, and it's bad science, or at least bad science communication. Pandas are highly endangered animals, but it's human impacts that have caused this. Now, if we look at the panda, look at it genetically, it is a bear. Let's get that down first, because that's going to cause a bit of a riot. Genetically, it comes out by itself. It's very, very far apart from the Ursus family, which are the brown bears and the polar bears and things like that. And further down, then you get like the red panda and the raccoon. If we look at it morphologically, so if we go old school and look at the bones and particularly the teeth on the animal, it tells us not only is the panda a bear, but it's an omnivore. It should be eating meat and plants. Problem is, no one's told the panda it's a bear. Bit of a shock. As we know, pandas eat bamboo. Quite a lot of bamboo, actually. They have a tiny bit of meat in their diet as well. But if you're a bear, you need to have the right balance of meat and plants to tick yourself over. Now, the problem with bamboo is it's very protein poor. So if you're a bear and you're eating something that's protein poor, you have to eat quite a lot of it. And this is what pandas do. They basically eat bamboo, they sit around, and then they go to the bathroom a lot because they eat a lot. So they have about 40 toilet breaks a day. Now, even if we look at again, back to the morphology of the animal, the panda has this thumb, as Stephen Jay Gould called it. What it is a sesamoid bone that's usually in your wrist. It has elongated and acts a bit like a thumb. It allows the panda to hang on to the tubular bamboo and eat it. So if you think about it, this is quite a big evolutionary investment in something just to become a picky eater. So this is really not why the animal is endangered, as Packham suggested, that it's gone down an evolutionary cul-de-sac. It is got to do with human impact. If we look at bamboo, bamboo is a grass. And like grasses, after a flowering event, it dies off, it dies back. Problem is, it's a pretty big grass, grows quite quickly and grows in forests. So when you get this flowering event and then the natural die-off of the species, you can lose up to 80% of your forest. Now, if you're a panda in the wild, that's grand, that's fine. You move on to the next species or you move down the road a bit. The problem is, in China at the moment, you have mass urbanization in rural areas. And a lot of these forests are being cleared and made way. So the pandas' range from about 200 years ago, which is the light green area here, has shrunk to these small dark green pockets. And this is known as habitat fragmentation. The habitat is fragmented, and then there are no corridors, there are no links to these pockets. So the animals are basically stuck in these little areas of bamboo. So back again, just to harp on, so this is a human impact that has caused this problem. And then when we see the bamboo die off, we see panda mortality increase in the wild. So to counteract this, there's been lots of different conservation efforts to try to protect the panda. And these have been in situ, which is in the natural habitat in China. And you have big reserves like Chengdu, where you have breeding programs and you have protection of the animals. Then you also have ex situ, captive breeding. This happens in zoos. And this is a very expensive process because the animals just to keep and feed is a very expensive thing. And to be a zoo and to get pandas, like Edinburgh Zoo got this year, it's a great honour. And it's seen as almost like building political bridges with the Chinese. Captive breeding famously hasn't gone very well up until very recently, and that's because until very recently we didn't realise that the female panda is only fertile for maybe a day or two once a year. So, not great. And that's quite a famous reason, again, given for the endangerment of the animal. But not so. A report just published in April this year, the male has his own fertile cycle that complements the female 2-day-a-year cycle. So again, this is not something that's causing the animal's extinction, or so supposedly causing its extinction. To end on, this is probably not the best thing to end on, but this is a press release that came from the Smithsonian National Zoo, and last year when there was an earthquake in the east coast of America. And in the press release, they talked about how the animals reacted just before the earthquake, during and after. And the red-ruffed lemurs called, and the flamingos rushed about the place, and the snakes went a bit mental, and everything else just ran in under a rock. The pandas, however, unfortunately, didn't react at all. They just basically sat around eating bamboo thinking, yeah, a bit shaky. So, on the whole of it, are pandas doomed? Well, only if we condemn them. Thank you.